This week, we went to go see F1, the movie in IMAX. That's right, in IMAX, but is it any good? We'll talk. Hi, how are you doing today? It's Just Jess here. Hope you're having a good day. And today, yes, we just saw F1, the movie in IMAX, but is it worth it in that format? Absolutely yes. Here's why you have to experience this movie on the biggest possible screen. The movie's filmed for IMAX through and through. This isn't just a regular movie blown up for the big screen. The filmmakers actually shot F1 using IMAX certified cameras. What's incredible is that they deliver on every single frame on the massive 2.90 2.1 aspect ratio. That means it fills the entire IMAX screen from start to finish, completely immersing you without any black bars. It's a non-stop full screen spectacle. Unbelievable sound. Beyond the visuals, the IMAX proprietary sound system just envelopes you. You don't just hear the cars, you feel them. The roars of the engine, the screech of the tires, it's all incredible, powerful, and puts you right in the middle of the race. Next level filming technology. You might think they just strapped some cameras onto the cars, which is what I thought. But based, it was so much more advanced. They actually created brand new high resolution, super small cameras and custom racing rigs to get those insane, never before seen angles. This just wasn't off the shelf tech. They collaborated directly with Sony and even Apple, which was pretty cool, and I had no idea they did that, to push the boundaries of what's possible in cinematic racing. The score and soundtrack, get ready for an incredible audio experience. You'll hear their amazing music, including the unbelievable score from the legendary Hans Zimmer. Now, full disclosure, I do think a few of the soundtrack choices might not quite hit the mark for everyone. Personally, I feel some of the rap tracks didn't perfectly blend with the high octane F1 vibe, but that's a very small note in an otherwise fantastic soundscape. Total immersion, this is the big one, because all of the incredible technology and the way it was filmed for IMAX, and honestly, it didn't feel like I was watching a movie. It felt like I was there in the car. You're right there in the cockpit with the drivers, feeling every turn, experiencing those intense overtakes, and even getting closer. Look at the mid-blowing aerodynamics, tire strategies, and insane technology. The team dynamics behind the incredible F1 machines. Trust me, for the full spectacle experience, F1 in IMAX is the only way to go. Sources, links below to the sources that I use. So links below to the sources that I use to back up my claims. This is not just me shouting from the rooftops that you should see this in IMAX and the movie was made for IMAX. No, sources, links below. We're gonna look at another source right now, IMAX's official website, and we're gonna read what it says. It says, IMAX technology gives filmmakers the freedom to take their story exactly where they need to go. With F1, the movie, immerse yourself right there on the track. Get ready to hug in every curve and embrace every turn. With even more screen because every single frame is presented in 2.90 2.1 aspect ratio, as just we discussed. Director Joseph Kosinski, which also did Top Gun, which is amazing because he kind of uses the similar strategies, although evolving it for the F1 cars that you've seen here. Immerses audience with strategically positioned IMAX certified digital cameras, frame by frame, enhanced by using IMAX proprietary digital media remastering DMR technology, and a custom sound mix tailored for IMAX theaters. So again, sources below, links below to the sources I use to back up my claims. Let's look at one more source right now. This is from IMAX's Instagram page. So this is a reel, but I just did screenshots to show you the immersive that you would be getting if you see this in IMAX. So it's just a photo right now. It's basically the car like being turned right. On the IMAX you have on the wide side, but on the standard you have on the other side, right? But if we zoom in, you see the IMAX just gives you a more fuller experience in terms of the top and bottom, right? So there's absolutely no black bars. Let's look at another example. It's the same thing, Instagram, but IMAX. So this time is for the car, and you get to see the landscapes of the track on the right side. Notice one side says IMAX, the other side just says standard. The IMAX, of course, you get more immersive experience in terms of the top and the bottom, but also you do lose some of the aspect ratio in terms of what the filmmakers intended to make the movie about if you do not go see this in IMAX. Just letting you know, so sources, links below. This is not just me shouting from the rooftop, links below. Let's get on to the majority of the review. So we got F1, the movie is a sports racing movie, and it's not just one of the best summer blockbusters of the year. No, definitely not. This is a reminder of how magical the cinemas can be and why I love going to the theaters for cinematic masterpieces, well, at least close to it, lol. Just like how we touched up earlier, it's one of those rare examples where you don't just see the movie, you're actually there in detail in terms of experiencing with the technology aspects, the bass pumping soundtrack, but also the dramatic stuff that's going on in the narrative. But it kind of feels like you're there in a rocket ship, to be honest. Brad Pitt plays as Tony Hayes, a former F1 driver who returned to the sport after 30 years of absence to help a struggling financial fictional team called APXGP, owned by his former teammate Ruben Cervantes, which is played by Javier Bardem, which is awesome because I feel like Javier Bardem grounds that character to something that we can achieve. He doesn't just seem like this overtype CEO, the conglomerate that's owning the racing team. No, Javier Bardem plays in such a way that he feels relatable, and that's key. He partners with a hotshot rookie, Joshua Pierce, played by Damian Idris. The film explores the themes of redemption, mentorship, but intense world of F1 racing. Not to mention the beautiful relationship, flirtation, attraction, possibly with Carrie Condon, who plays as Kate. And by the way, in this movie, she is the first woman in history in F1 to get the senior role of technical role, which is amazing because I didn't know that until seeing the movie. One of the cool things is the filming. The film was shot during actual Grand Prix weekends, immersing the characters and crew in the real F1 environment. This was a unique approach to capture the genuine atmosphere and thrills of the sport. That's why I said going back earlier, when I was watching the movie, it really felt like I was just a guy that bought my pass, literally walking through the Grand Prix, getting drinks, looking at the celebrities, feeling the cars, looking at the racetracks, maybe even being up there in the stands, even looking at the garages. It really immerses you in terms of the detail and aspects, not just for the racing itself, but what's behind the racing. Oh, you know, they have like the cockpit, or you know what, the technology behind it, or when the team's like talking with the walkie-talkies. You actually see that and feel that, and like I told you, it kind of feels like you're a human just literally walking in the F1 Formula race. Here's another example. If you've seen Gran Turismo, by the way, the movie, which is actually amazing, this captures that formula but puts that onto steroids. And honestly, some people would say that this movie delivers what ultimately Gran Turismo failed, although it's unfair to compare the two mediums since this one's talking about the high octane racing and the other one of Gran Turismo, it was a story about an underdog. Not to say that they didn't have contrast, because I kind of felt what I felt today also in Gran Turismo, but F1 just takes it to a higher level. In other words, here's a weird analogy. Think of Gran Turismo, the movie and the game, as like the party movies of Neighbors and Hangover, right? But then think of F1, the movie, in terms of the party movies of a Project X. You see how the difference is? It just makes it more next level. And believe me, I'm a person who's half the movie of Gran Turismo, and I also played the game. So I do like racing, and ever before F1 came into my life with this movie, the only thing I've known in racing is Gran Turismo, right? With these two mediums. But I feel like F1 just takes this formula and just elevates it to a new level. That's why I feel like in terms of the analogy, it's Project X, the F1 movie. It's just so much more lively and it's hype. Imagine being dressed up, right? You're going with your friends, you're going to a nice hotel. Gran Turismo is like the 4th level floor, right? Dancing, drinks, and dinner. But here's a twist. F1, the movie, is the rooftop bar. It's the elegancy, it's the fancy stuff, it's the cocktails, it's the DJ being outside, seeing the rooftop overtaking the river talk. That's what it is. So think of Gran Turismo as like the 4th level hotel lobby, but think of F1 as like the rooftop bar. You know, it's fancy, it's elegant, it's just next level. You know, it's like almost touching the stars. A lot of people were thinking, and I even was talking to one of my coworkers, let's just call her Veronica. Now, Veronica doesn't exist. It's just one of the coworkers. I'm hiding you if you're probably going to watch this video review because you did watch one of them. We were discussing that I think she said that she was afraid, or she was just skeptical that the movie was going to be more dramatic and less racing. Well, after seeing the movie, to be honest with you, I felt like the movie had 65% racing and the rest is drama, which is cool because I don't think she will be disappointed, and I'm very excited to see what her thoughts are when she sees this film. I also loved how the F1 movie captures not only the resemblance of being there in the racetracks in terms of the real world examples in terms of the circuits, but you hear the other teams and you're being there in the cockpit and seeing who's getting first place. But also every single time they have a tire exchange cockpit, you hear the communication of the teammates. So you see Carrie Condon's character Kate or Javier Bardem's character, they're always talking to the racers, and the racers are also talking to each other. They're like, hey, you want to overtake this person, or like how lower you are on fuel. I don't even think they said that. I think they just said you need to come in for tires, the weather's coming down, or this other person is getting a flag or whatever. Not to mention, I think one of the best things is the amazing commentary the movie gave us while they were racing. So this commentary, I love the accent, I love the high-pitched voice. It just felt amazing. So this guy, whenever you're in the racing movie, right, for F1, this guy's like, I can't believe the Nissan or the Mercedes is overtaking position 3. He's going back for the pit stop. He's going to tire exchange. He's gonna take the lap. He's shaving seconds off the lap. And it was like so pumping in your face. And I love that because it just kept us being informed, but also engaging and informative of what's going on. It basically was entertainment, but also being insightful in terms of what we're seeing and feeling in terms of the race. So So every time there's like the announcer, he's just like I told you before, you know, he's like, he's gonna make it, he's gonna make it. Oh, look at that turn, he just overtake that person in the turn. He's in P2 now, he's in P2. And it just makes more exhilarating. The reason why I like this is because I play a lot of Tekken 8 Ranked. Tekken 8 Ranked is a fighting game. Now here's a weird analogy, but also example as well. In Tekken 8 Ranked, there's real world competitions. Example like Combo Breaker or Evo in Las Vegas, which hint, there's also a Las Vegas Grand Prix or a circuit that's in this movie. So the reason why I bring this up is because when we're watching Tekken 8 Ranked, the commentators do a great job if someone's done a punish, someone's doing a launcher, doing the sidestep. Oh, did he get the correct low on that, or did he parry that low, or he's getting the wall bound? So spectating and you're watching something, also commentating is great because it infuses new audience to be more engageful, but also making them feel like they're right there with the action. So I do think the commentating or the commentary is amazing, especially in this movie. Even though Gran Turismo had that, this one just, like I told you earlier, elevated to such a next level that you're always hearing it, and it's always crystal clear what the guy is saying without overtaking the sounds of the dramatic and dialogue and the racing that's in the forefront of the movie. Makes sense, right? A little bit, sorry. Brad Pitt is great in this role, and I don't want to be rude, but he really captures the essence of being an old-timer, but also longing and wanting to race. It's more than just a win for him. We see that in the opening act. You know, he gets the trophy, he's like, I don't want to touch it. It's just much more than that, which will be explained later down the road, especially when you see the struggles that this character is going through. But not just in terms of his physicality, but also emotional and his eye movement. Every time we're there with Brad Pitt in the cockpit, you see his eyes daring to go like, should I take this next step? What should I tell my teammates? But also, and here's a quote that applies to this as well, in the quotes from Gran Turismo. It also feels like to us that he has to make split decisions that can not only cost him his life, but also the life of his teammates. I think that's the exact quote from Gran Turismo, but also applied to it here. So I think I bought that right, or it might be a little bit different. I don't know if I really buy the relationship he has with Javier Bardem's character. Although they do look like amazing bros, they have amazing synergy. I don't think it's because we do see the sense of brotherhood they have, but we never actually get to see them train or race back in the day. He basically just comes to his past. He's like, hey, Brad Pitt's character, I kind of need you. You're a good racer. My team is down in the dumpsters and I need something to lift it up. And I think one of the commentary says that, is this a desperate decision to sign Sonny Hayes? You know, someone coming back to the F1 after 30 years. And by the way, they do pull it off, their brotherhood, because not just because, I mean, you have two old timers that are handsome. No homo, by the way, no homo. And they do pull it off with great success. I think, to be honest with you, I just like seeing Javier Bardem. I'm half Latino, so seeing someone with a strong Spanish heritage and not just being like one of the low-level rookies, but being the owner of this conglomerate racing team is awesome. To be honest with you, I think it's the accent and the suit that do it for me, for Javier Bardem. Hey, no weird stuff, right? I do have to touch up on the relationship he has with his co-driver Joshua Pierce, which is played by Damien Idris. In the beginning, it felt like Brad Pitt's character was trying to steal the team away from him, but as the movie continues, you see them struggle of learning from themselves, but also from each other. I'll give you an example. Brad Pitt and the character, he loves running outside. He loves doing the tennis ball, right? And I guess for Joshua Pierce's character, the rookie, he doesn't quite understand that yet. But then when he goes through his transformation in the film, he understands Brad Pitt more than he did initially. He understands that, hey, this guy wants kind of the same thing I am, but just is a different way of thinking. And also Brad Pitt's character know that the rookie wants to be like, oh, in the media, he wants to be first place, but Brad Pitt's already lived that life. And it's cool to see both of them affect each other, but also themselves in terms of the team dynamic. They're helping each other, but in indirect and also direct ways. But not to mention the whole team backed him up in terms of like the team telling him, hey, this guy, there's no beef here. You need to learn from each other, but also help each other communicate. And it's awesome to see these two guys at even odds, because usually in movies, oh yeah, we're a team, blah, 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 whatever, right? But no, in this movie, you do have tension that goes throughout significant portion of the film that makes them causes their races, their cars, probably even money. So it's too cool to see these two guys, a rookie and also an old timer, blending genres together. Well, that sounds a little bit weird. Blending personalities together for the bigger, greater good in terms of the race. Unlike Gran Turismo, the relationship, flirtation, romance he has with the first technical director of the F1 Formula team, played by Carrie Condon, which is Kate, I feel like is actually better and fleshed out. In Gran Turismo, it felt like they had a solid racing movie and then they added the romance elements added to it. Not to say that they didn't do the same thing here, I just felt like it's a little bit more fleshed out and more narrative driven in what they're trying to achieve. It just felt like Gran Turismo with their romance was just like, alright, we need to add some scenes of him having romance, which which does feel cool. And I'm not saying that this is a big improvement. It is an improvement, but it's not like a romance movie. It's still a great racing movie, not a solid racing movie, a great, amazing racing movie with a better fleshed out romance / flirtation, whatever you want to call it, with his character, which feels a little bit more kind of on the sentimental side. And you do get a lot of backstory into his mythology, his thinking, and the way he thinks of racing, which is great because I always love romance movies. I also love romance books, and romance is something that I try to excel at. Some of you have been following me for a while. 2 things: I love you, I appreciate you, and I thank you. Well, 3 things: I love romance. I used to go to school before YouTube to become a marriage counselor, so romance is something that I love. But this, when there is a scene when they're in the Vegas Strip, you know, it's him and Carrie Condon, which she's just gorgeous and she's wifey, and I would marry her in a heartbeat right now. But this is cool because unlike Gran Turismo, well, the same thing kind of like Gran Turismo, this is more fleshed out in terms of their attraction to each other. When they first meet, you probably think, oh, Brad Pitt, you know, he can get everybody he wants. He's a good looking guy, no homo. So you probably wouldn't think this, but to me, I think because I follow a lot of romance stuff, this was spoiled to me. I knew there was a romance part in the movie. I'm like, all right, it's probably with that girl because she's gorgeous. But the reason why I want to bring this up is because he has his own version of a monologue of telling how it feels to race. And I'm sorry to always example Gran Turismo, but that's the only point of experience that I can do right now. In Gran Turismo, one of the characters, let me bring it up, David Harbour, right? He's the old timer in that movie. He says in that movie, and I might be paraphrasing or I might get the exact quote. Now he says in a section in the lobby, he's like, the car's on rails, you feel like you can't make a mistake. It's like everything and anything at the same time. I think that might be the exact quote. And here, the reason why I bring it up is because Las Vegas, they're on the rooftop, it's neon, it's beautiful, it's romantic, you know, they have drinks, whatever. The reason why I bring this up is because he has his own version of saying, it feels like I'm flying, it feels like I could only heat my heartbeat, it's me in the road, and I'm paraphrasing, I mean, I just saw literally the movie yesterday, so. And I love that because it gives the audience a sense that Brad Pitt's more than just get an insight of what he's thinking in terms of wanting more than just winning, you know? He didn't come back to F1 just because Javier is his friend. I mean, maybe there's a longing for that. And you see that in terms of the character, which is great because up to this point, we kind of got an idea of what he thought, but this just cements him in terms of a sentimental role, which is amazing because a lot of guys like me or girls, you know, they see that side. They're like, a guy being alpha is not afraid to show his, you know, feminine side without being too on it, which is great. And I just wanted to point that out. And of course it's romance, so. But not gonna lie, the romance still feels like Brad Pitt's like perspective. I mean, we do get a sense of Kate's like history, but it's not about her. I mean, it is about her, but it mostly feels like Brad Pitt's 75% and 25%, but still great that they had the IMAX in the movie. Other than the 2 hours and 37 minutes, I never get the sense of the movie needed to be over because the length of the movie. I was such in awe of what I was experiencing and feeling that I never wanted the movie to be over. 2 hour and 37 minute runtime is because a lot of people with trailers is like a 3 hour movie, right? Some people go to the multiplex, so it really takes chunk out of your day. Some people might find it to be too long, you know? They might think we should shave off a little bit of the scenes that didn't make any sense. So I'm just bringing it up to you that it could be a double-edged sword. Yes, I felt more immersive in the 2 hours and 37 minutes, nor did I ever want it to end because I was just so in awe. But I will have to explain it to you that, yeah, some people might find it too much or might feel like, damn, this is too long of a movie. But it was such a great informational and informative stuff that I never even thought of before what the movie's feeding you in terms of the aerodynamics or the team building, or you get the technology behind it in terms of like the computers and stuff. Now, last point, and I promise, we're gonna talk about one of the weaknesses in the film, and this is just a personal take. I don't think all the soundtrack hits for me. To be honest with you, I think the rap is the most lacking. And the reason why I say that is because these cars are going average 200 plus miles per hour, right? The rap is slow. If anything, they should have, the thing that worked was the house music and techno. If you don't know, BPM is the name of the game. BPM is beats per minute for your heart. When you're going that fast, high octane velocity action, right? Racing, zoom, zoom, zoom. You might think, yeah, racing needs more higher tempo. And I totally agree. And by the way, Tiesto is actually a cameo in this movie. You see him in the club scene, which was amazing. And I guess I'm like, Tiesto? I love Tiesto. I always listen to Tiesto every weekend to get the newest house music. But BPM is the name of the game. House music is 110 to 130 beats per minute. Or you know what? Maybe let's just call her Veronica from my coworker. She likes techno. Techno is 120 to 150 beats per minute. The reason why I feel like house music and techno works so well is because of the high velocity of the miles per hour, sorry. So when they threw in some rap stuff when they were getting ready, I'm like, all right, that's fine. But still, like the rap stuff, I'm sorry. Look, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I just feel like for this movie, it didn't quite work out. Raps just slow things down. And I get it. Maybe the movie wanted us to feel like, you know what? It's always fast, fast, fast. Let's slow things down. Let's get ingested or digest with the characters. But that's just personal. I don't really like rap. I think rap's like the weakest that I've seen or heard in my whole life. I don't know why. I'm sorry, you know? I feel like we need more bass heavy techno house music just for this film. I mean, think about it. Rap rap is cool, designated for some of the rap movies, but for this rap soundtracks, I'm sorry, I was just like, I rolled my eyes. I was just like, oh my god. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just didn't think rap works well with this movie. It's high octane action, like I told you. It's fast. Why would you have something slow in terms of beats for a fast movie? This doesn't make any sense, and I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, right? But still, Tiesto was there, and there's some secret cameos as well. At the end of the day, I'm gonna give this a A+. I think this is not just best one of the summer blockbusters, like I said, but also a movie, a reminder of how magical this cinematic masterpiece can be. At the end of the day, it's the contender for best of the year. I'm sorry, this review is taking up so long, and it's probably one of my longest reviews, but there was so much passion and informational stuff that I had to do in research. If you made it this far, let me tell you something. If you made it this far, I appreciate you, I love you, and I thank you. Maybe consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications so you never miss a video. And with that, take care, bye!